Hello students, good morning. Okay. In our previous lecture, we have completed the stage of gastrulation. We started wonderful journey of embryology. Okay. After ovulation, we have seen that what happens with that fertilized secondary oocyte, how it gets ready for implantation, and what happens after implantation, how three germ layers are produced. So for today, to clear out your concepts, okay, I made a presentation in that I have taken some nice diagrams, some pictures, so that all the things get fixed in your mind. You will be able to visualize actually in what way all these processes are happening. Okay, so let's start with the today's lecture. In the today's lecture, we are going to study, or once we will revise the stages of gastrulation, how gastrulite is produced, how germ layers are produced. Afterwards, we will see what will be the fate of these germ layers, means the part of organogenesis. Different organs in the body, they will develop from which layer. After that, we will see how placenta it is formed, what is the structure of placenta, what is its function, an important part, that is extra embryonic membrane. Okay, because during gastrulation, extra embryonic membranes are also produced. Okay, fetus or developing embryo, it is completely surrounded by these extra embryonic membranes. So we will study how these extra embryonic membranes are produced and what are their functions. Okay, so let's start our today's lecture. Okay, so here I took one diagram or one three-dimensional view of uterus, okay, or the female reproductive system. Here you can see there is a ovary, okay, and a part of uterus along with the fallopian tube it is shown. You can see that. Okay, now you have to correlate all the things which we have learned before. That or those things we will recall again, we will revise those things again, and we will come back to our next point. Right, now from ovary, ovule or the secondary oocyte has released. Okay, it releases on 14th day of menstrual cycle. Next day fertilization occurs. So in the second structure, they have shown as a day 0. So fertilization takes place within next 24 hours. Then secondary oocyte is converted into, yes, zygote, fertilized egg, or we can call it as a zygote. Okay, in next 24 hours it starts its first meiotic division, and within next 6 hours it completes the first cleavage to form two blastomeres. So nearly about 30 hours it takes to form a 2-cell stage. Then we have seen that there is a 4-cell stage, 8-cell, 16-cell. So here you can see that fertilized egg, it is moving throughout the fallopian tube and it is entering into the uterine cavity. Fine. Now we have seen that by the end of third day, morula it is formed. Morula, it is nothing but a mulberry-like structure, aggregation of 16 cells, rarely up to 32 cells also. So these mulberry-like structure, it enters in the uterine cavity. It floats there for next 2 to 3 days. Okay, during that, cells of morula undergo compaction and they start developing into next stage, that is the blastocyst. So already we can see how blastocyst it is formed. Okay, so in that case what happened? Smaller cells or the cells on the outer side, they become flattened and they form the peripheral cell that become trophoblast. Fine. Remaining cells get attached or they move toward one side due to formation of a cavity that is known as blastocele. So those cells which are inside, they are known as inner cell mass or embryoblast. Embryoblast will give rise to proper embryo. Okay, whereas trophoblast will form, yes, eukaryotic villi or placenta. Okay, now we have seen that till implantation, zona pellucida, it is intact. It prevents the implantation of fertilized egg, okay, elsewhere in the reproductive system or tract, and it ensures that blastocyst should get implanted into endometrium lining. Fine. Now we have seen that near about 6th to 7th day, that blastocyst start preparing itself for implantation. So at this time what happens? Cells of trophoblast, they absorb the nutritive fluid from uterus. That nutritive fluid of uterus, it is known as uterine milk. You know that during this time there is a luteal phase or secretory phase of menstrual cycle or reproductive cycle is going on. That time endometrium layer, it is thick, it is secretory, it is glandular. So the uterine milk, it is absorbed by cells of trophoblast cell swell that causes a pressure on overlying zona pellucida, and now that ruptures and blastocyst, it is hatched out. So that process, it is known as hatching. Fine. Now near about 10th day implantation completes, means now in humans entire blastocyst get implanted, okay, or it is buried in the endometrium lining. Once it gets buried, then what happens? Then placenta form, implantation takes place, chorionic villi are formed, okay, and that time hormone HCG, it is secreted. I told you what is the significance of HCG. HCG or secretion of HCG, it gives a signal to corpus luteum. Now near about after 10 day of fertilization, implantation completed. So round about 25th day. So that time HCG is secreted. Secretion of HCG, it is a signal for corpus luteum. Now implantation has occurred. Okay, pregnancy is started. Okay, you continue to secrete the progesterone. So HCG, it is required for maintenance of corpus luteum. Fine. Then we have seen that traces of HCGs are present in the urine. So we discuss about the Gravindex test, okay, which is used to confirm the pregnancy. Fine. So after this we studied that. Now in the next part we discuss that how that blastocyst is converted into the next stage, that is known as gastrula. Okay, now during this there is a morphogenetic movements of cells. Cells move to form different layers and different membranes. Fine. So let's see one next picture. Okay, here you can see that in the first diagram they have given the structure of morula. Second diagram they have shown structure of blastocyst. You can see on one side there is a mass of cells, that is your inner cell mass, ICM or embryoblast. Below there is a cavity, that is blastocyst, and the outer layer, that is your trophoblast. Now afterwards when gastrulation begins, that we have discussed that there is a formation of embryonal disc. Okay, before that we discussed that the side from where, okay, the sperm enters in the secondary oocyte, that is the animal pole to vegetal pole. So how first plane of cleavage it is decided. Now the side of blastocyst, okay, where embryonal cells are located, that is known as embryonal knob. Its opposite side, it is known as abembryonal lobe. Fine. So embryonal lobe, abembryonal lobe. Now here what happened, embryonal cells, they rearrange themselves in a bilamellar structure in two layers. Upper layer it is known as epiblast, lower layer it is known as hypoblast. So in the third diagram you can see that the blue color one, the layer that is the epiblast, and lower yellow that is hypoblast. Okay, if you have yesterday's diagrams with you, just keep those diagrams in front of you. So that you will also revise along with me. Why I am revising this again and again, because this is little bit tricky, or you can say technical things. So you have to revise all these things again and again. So epiblast, it is the upper layer, hypoblast, it is the lower layer. Epiblast will give rise to embryo or different organs. Okay, now after this what is happening? The layer of hypoblast or cells of hypoblast, they continue to divide, okay, and this form the primary yolk sac. Okay, it runs throughout the cavity of blastocyst now. Okay, and that is known as primary yolk sac. Now after this we discuss that the cells which are, or the cells of trophoblast which are in contact with the inner cell mass, they are known as cells of Rauber. Fine. Just before implantation, the cells of Rauber degenerate. Okay. And after this, what happened? A cavity is developed. A cavity is developed above the epiblast. That cavity is known as, yes, amniotic cavity. Okay. Later on, this cavity will completely surround the developing embryo. Okay. Just above the cavity, there is a layer of amniogenic cells. Fine. Now, these amniogenic cells and epiblast, they encloses a cavity that is known as amniotic cavity. Okay. After this, we studied that the epiblast, okay, cells of epiblast, they undergo invagination as it is in the form of disc. Okay, it is in the form of disc. So cells of epiblast invaginates and it forms a groove-like structure. Okay, that groove, it is known as primitive strip. So it will go and dip as well as it will move toward the end of that structure. Now because of this, some cells, they start moving, okay, below the epiblast and above the hypoblast. The first layer of cell which comes out, those cells, okay, they displace cells of yolk sac. Okay, the cells of hypoblast. Yeah, epiblast is there, hypoblast is there. Some cells from epiblast, they migrate below the epiblast and enter in the layer of hypoblast and soon replace the hypoblast. Okay, now that replaced hypoblast layer by epiblast cell that form the first germ layer, that is endoderm. Okay, so first layer of endoderm it is formed. Afterward, some few cells they come just above the endoderm, that forms here, yes, second layer, that is mesoderm, and rest of the epiblast cell form third layer, that is ectoderm. Fine. Now after this, we discussed that primitive streak, it move ahead and then it form a knob-like structure. That knob-like structure is known as primitive knob. Okay, and that is known as primitive knob or primitive node. Now there is a great significance of this primitive streak and primitive node. It determines the bilateral symmetry of fetus. It determines the head part and the tail part. Okay, means it will decide that which part of embryo will form the head region and which part of the fetus will develop into the caudal or tail region. It also determines the bilateral symmetry of body. Fine. In the next figure, in the next slide, I will show you that how this primitive streak it is formed. Okay, so in this diagram you can see in what way the cells of epiblast, they go inside, they form a groove like structure and in the same way that line it goes ahead, that form the primitive groove. Fine. The upper part of the primitive groove which is toward the amnion layer, it is known as primitive node. Okay, it forms the head part, okay, and the lower one it forms the tail or the caudal part. Fine. So here you can see there is a mesoderm, there is a endoderm, okay, which replaces the hypoblast. Fine. I hope from this diagram you have understood clearly that how primitive streak it is formed, okay, and how these different germ layers are produced. Fine. So, and just above this there is a layer of amnion, okay, which encloses amniotic cavity. Later on, entire embryo will covered by amniotic cavity which is filled with amniotic fluid. Fine. So in this way, three germ layers are produced. In this slide also you can see this is the actual electron microscopic view of the embryonal disc. Upper columnar cells you can see, these are the cells of epiblast. Below there is a hypoblast. In what way these cells are moving down and how this primitive streak it is formed. Fine. Is it clear, students? Just try to understand these things. These things are so technical. Okay, now next very important part. What is the fate of these germ layers? I made a very nice table for you. Okay, on these questions can come, MCQ can come on this part. Which organs or which systems will develop from these three germ layers? Already when we have studied the human physiology, we have studied different types of systems. That time we have studied that which organs that develop from which layer. So if you are able to recall, okay, simultaneously you can also try for that. So let's see from endoderm which parts are formed. From endoderm, gut, not all part, foregut, okay, it is formed from endoderm. Middle ear, not whole ear, only middle ear. Gastric glands, okay, intestinal glands, tongue, urinary bladder, not entire excretory system, okay. Rest of the excretory system, it is mesodermal except urinary bladder. So urinary bladder, it is endodermal in origin. Then respiratory tract, liver, pancreas, thyroid and parathyroid gland, anterior lobe of pituitary gland, okay. Anterior lobe of pituitary, it is endodermal, whereas middle and posterior pituitary, it is ectodermal, fine. And thymus gland. So all these organs, they are endodermal in origin. Then let's see now which are mesodermal in origin. Muscles and connective tissues. So all connective tissues, muscles, they are mesodermal in origin. Dermis of skin. Skin two layer, epidermis and dermis. Epidermis, it is ectodermal, whereas dermis, it is mesodermal. Now skeleton. Skeleton include your all. It's your bones, your cartilages, tendons, okay. All the things of skeleton, they are mesodermal. Circulatory system. Now in circulatory system, your heart, blood vessels, capillaries, arteries, veins, okay. All these are made up of, or all they are mesodermal in origin. Excretory system except urinary bladder, adrenal cortex and most of the reproductive systems. Now next one, ectodermal, gut. Now here foregut and midgut, okay. Foregut and hindgut, okay. So remaining part of gut. Then epidermis, sense organs, inner ear, eye, retina, conjunctiva, nasal chambers, middle and posterior pituitary and adrenal medulla, okay. These things are developed from ectoderm, okay. So from this, now this table you have to remember, on these questions can come that which organ or which part it is formed from. Endoderm, mesoderm and ectoderm, okay. So this is the fate of germ layer. Okay, let's see the very important part, that is extra embryonic membrane. During gastrulation, as there is a formation of germ layers, along with that extra embryonic membranes are also produced. Now these extra embryonic membrane, they protect the developing embryo as well as they provide nourishment, okay. They perform several functions. Now let's see which are these extra embryonic membrane. Now these membranes, they develop from trophoblast, okay. So trophoblast give rise to extra embryonic membrane. While studying function of or the structure of blastocyst, we have discussed that trophoblast does not involve in the formation of embryo, okay. That is the function of embryoblast. Trophoblast give rise to extra embryonic membranes. So there are 4 extra embryonic membrane. Extra means which are located outside the embryo, namely amnion, chorion, yolk sac and allantois, okay. So these are 4 extra embryonic membranes. They perform several functions, like they facilitate nutrition, excretion, respiration, etc. Now just here I have given a diagrammatic representation how these layers are formed. So if you have diagrams with you, diagrams of gastrulation with you, just keep those diagrams also In that we have seen, if you see the first one, there I have shown amniotic cavity is formed, yolk sac it is formed. So in the later stages there is a development of extra embryonic mesoderm. Fine, that extra embryonic mesoderm gets separated in two layers by formation of extra embryonic coelom. Okay, now that extra embryonic coelom along with different layers, they form these different membranes. Now we can see the chorion it is formed, amnion it is formed, okay, as well as allantois. Now you can see the F diagram. In that I have shown all the layers carefully. Now you can see the first one, that is the chorion. Now the chorion it is formed by your outer one, that is your parietal, extra embryonic mesoderm and trophoblast. Okay, amnion it is formed by amniotic membrane, amniotic membrane plus extra mesodermal or extra embryonic mesoderm. Umbilical cord is also shown over there. Allantois it is a small solid outgrowth, okay, whereas yolk sac it is also shown. So these are four different extra embryonic membrane. Okay, now here you can see the amniotic cavity has increased and it has completely surrounds the embryo. Fine. One point I would like to ask you, what is the difference between embryo and fetus? Yes, what is the difference between embryo and fetus? Till what stage we call that structure as embryo and when we call it as a fetus? Now see, embryo it is a structure which is formed up to 8 weeks. Means you can say about 2 weeks. About 2 months. So when the structure or the developing structure is of 2 months or 4 weeks, till that we call it as an embryo. After that it is called as fetus. Embryo it is cartilaginous, means the skeleton of embryo it is cartilaginous, whereas the skeleton of embryo it is cartilaginous, whereas skeleton of fetus it is bony. So about 8-week structure it is known as embryo, and after that it is called as fetus. So this point you remember, when to call embryo and when to call it as a fetus. Fine. So you can draw these diagrams in your notebook. So extra embryonic membrane. Now we will see each of these membranes separately and what is their function. Okay, let's see the next one, amnion. Fine. Very important extra embryonic membrane. Now, on the basis of presence or absence of placenta, on the basis of presence or absence of amnion, by mistake it is written as placenta. So on the basis of presence or absence of amnion, vertebrates are classified as amniota and anamniota. In the animal classification you might have learned this. This amnion it is formed from amniogenic cells and extra embryonic mesoderm, that already we have learned. With gradual increase in size, it covers the embryo from all sides. As amniotic cavity, it completely surrounds the fetus. Okay. Throughout the 9 months of pregnancy, amniotic cavity exists. It is filled with the amniotic fluid, okay, that performs several functions. It provides protection to the embryo. It acts as a shock absorbent of fluid, amniotic fluid. It prevents the dehydration of the fetus. Okay, Now, after about 8 weeks of fertilization, it is completely incorporated into the connecting stalk and forms the umbilical cord. Okay, so umbilical cord it is also formed. Means you just go to the back side of the back slide and see there from where umbilical cord is formed. So it start moving from upside, that is from where epiblast or your amniotic cavity it is present. From that it just move down and it merges with the stalk which is near to the placenta and form the umbilical cord. Now this structure is called as fetus, that already we have seen. Next, the next layer, that is chorion. second extraembryonic membrane. It is formed by extraembryonic parietal layer and cells of trophoblast. They help in formation of chorionic villi. So toward the placenta, these chorionic villi are formed. So the placenta, it is partially contributed by maternal tissue and partially by the fetal tissue. So these chorionic villi, they are formed by this chorion layer. Next layer, yolk sac. Now yolk sac, it is formed from extraembryonic visceral mesoderm and endodermal cell. So why we have called here endodermal cell? Now while morphogenic movements, the cells of endoderm, they completely replaces the hypoblast layer. Now initially your primary yolk sac, it is made up of cells of hypoblast. But when secondary yolk sac it is produced, now this secondary yolk sac, it is made up of endodermal cells. Okay, these endodermal cell replaces layer of hypoblast. Okay, initially it is longer, but after 8 weeks it is reduced to a tubular structure when placenta it is developed. As we discussed that in case of human, yolk sac it is not well developed, because in rest of the animals like birds and all, yolk sac it is a nutritious tissue. Okay, yolk sac it is a nutritious part. It provides nourishment to the developing embryo. But in humans there is a well developed placenta. So yolk sac it is poorly developed, non-functional in humans, except that site of blood cell formation until about 6 weeks. After that, liver takes a function. In body fluid circulation, okay, we have seen that hemopoiesis, that is formation of blood cells in fetus, it takes place in yolk sac. We have learned one more function of yolk sac in the female reproductive system, that germ cells, female germ cells, they are extragonadal. They are produced in yolk sac, and from there they are migrating into ovaries. Fine. So this is yolk sac. And the last layer, that is allantois. It is solid cylindrical mass formed by embryonic mesoderm. It also forms umbilical cord, consists of endoderm inside and splanchnopluric mesoderm outside. It also helps in, as it is a part of umbilical cord, it helps in respiration, nutrition as well as excretion. Okay. So these are different extra embryonic membranes. Okay, so in this diagram you can see in what way the cells of epiblast, they go inside, they form a groove like structure, and in the same way that line it goes ahead, that form the primitive groove. Fine. The upper part of the primitive groove, which is toward the amnion layer, it is known as primitive node. Okay, it forms the head part. Okay, and the lower one, it forms the tail or the caudal part. Fine. So here you can see there is a mesoderm, there is a endoderm, okay, which replaces the hypoblast. Fine. I hope from this diagram you have understood clearly how primitive streak it is formed, okay, and how these different germ layers are produced. Fine. So, and just above this there is a layer of amnion, okay, which encloses amniotic cavity. Later on, entire embryo will covered by amniotic cavity, which is filled with amniotic fluid. Fine. So in this way 3 germ layers are produced. Now the outer surface of chorion develops into chorionic villi. So invaginations are produced, villi-like structure. These villi, they grow into the tissue of uterus. They penetrate and then embed into the mother's tissue, and then it forms the placenta. Now this placenta, it is reddish brown in color. Okay. Now allantois gives rise to umbilical cord. This allantois is about your umbilical cord is about 40 centimeters. Umbilical cord has 2 umbilical arteries and 2 veins, umbilical veins. These blood vessels, they are surrounded by a jelly-like material that is known as water jelly. Connective tissue systems Connective tissues consist of fibroblast, extracellular matrix, which is rich in hyaluronic acid and it is protective in nature. Then fetal placenta and maternal placenta. Blood does not mix at all. As I told you, blood does not mix at all. So whichever useful substances for the fetus growth, they are transporting, okay, they are transferring to the fetus through umbilical cord via placenta. Next part, what are the functions of placenta? So as I told you, it provides nutrition, okay, it provides substances, food material, okay, to the developing fetus from mother's blood. It is a digestive organ, okay, it helps in the removal of excretory waste from fetus. Okay, it provides oxygen to the fetus, removes carbon dioxide from the fetus body. It is a temporary endocrine gland, very important function. It is a temporary endocrine gland. It secretes several hormones during gestation. It secretes estrogen, progesterone. It secretes HCG, that is human chorionic gonadotropins. It performs or it maintains the corpus luteum throughout the pregnancy. Okay, along with this, it also secretes HPL, that is human prolactin, or human somatomammotropins. Human prolactin or somatomammotropin, they cause the development of mammary glands, okay, during gestation. And at the end of gestation period or pregnancy, during parturition, placenta also secrete relaxin. Okay, this relaxin hormone facilitate parturition. Parturition means birth of baby or the delivery of baby. This relaxin facilitate parturition by softening the connective tissue of pubic symphysis. Okay, if you can recall the structure of pelvic girdle, there we have learned that pubic symphysis, okay, it is packed. Now this region, it is present in this cervical region. So throughout the pregnancy, cervix, which is the opening of uterus, it is closed by formation of cervical plug. So by the time or at the time of parturition, this relaxin, it is secreted by placenta that softens the connective tissue of pubic symphysis and that help in the widening of pelvic girdle, okay, because at time or at the time of parturition, birth canal, it is formed. For the normal vaginal birth, the cavity of pelvic girdle has to be widened. So for that, relaxin, it is secreted. Along with this, placenta also stores glycogen. The liver is not formed. And at the end, it is a barrier. It prevents entry of any foreign material, entry of pathogens, okay, different viruses, bacteria, any antigen, any foreign material. It prevents its entry into the fetal body. Fine. So these are the functions of placenta. Okay, so till now we have completed the process of fertilization, implantation, okay, then gastrulation, how placenta develop, how extraembryonic membranes are developed. Okay, now in the next lecture we will discuss about gestation, during 9 months of pregnancy. As you know that there are 3 trimester, first trimester, second trimester and third trimester. So what is mean by gestation, okay, and we will see the process of parturition. Fine. I hope you have understood this part. Okay.